Today's show is sponsored by the Electric Vehicle Association. Join up to support the electrification of transport and get the help you need to finance your own EV or clean energy future. And by you. Become a Patreon supporter of the show today or support us with a YouTube membership to help us continue to grow our channel, our advocacy and our coverage of this rapidly growing industry. And by Energy Sage. Visit the link in the description to find local, verified solar installers and community solar projects in your area that will help you power your home and your car with clean, green, renewable energy. Welcome back to TEN or Transport Evolved News. We are now officially halfway through October, but the weather here still seems to think it's the middle of August. I'm confused. Polestar has revealed its first true SUV model, the all-electric Polestar 3, ahead of its official motor show debut in Paris next week. While it's the first Polestar model to be built on a ground-up chassis, that's not one it shares with a Volvo-badged car, it still appears to share a lot of Volvo's parts bin, with seat belts, interior switches and trim components giving off plenty of Swedish vibes. Given the Polestar 3 is being marketed as an upmarket vehicle, the launch variant with long-range battery and dual-motor drivetrain has a pretty steep starting price of $83,900 before incentives or mandatory fees. But for that, you get nearly 500 horses, or just over if you go for the performance pack, and an estimated range of 300 miles, 482 kilometers per charge of its 111 kilowatt-hour, 400-volt battery pack. Advanced driver assistance systems designed to help reduce accidents and keep us safe on the road are starting to become more and more common on more affordable cars. This week, the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety published a rather interesting report on the habits, attitudes, and expectations of regular users of these systems. It monitored and questioned drivers about their use of three systems: Tesla Autopilot, Nissan ProPilot, and GM SuperCruise, concluding that drivers who used SuperCruise, who skewed older than drivers of cars with the other two systems, were more likely to engage in activities that were considered quote-unquote distracted driving. That said, I should note that Tesla drivers are most likely to engage in watching videos on their phones, sleeping or reading. The headlines on this aren't doing justice, so let us know if you want us to do a deep dive. I think it'll be worth it. 2 years ago, Sony surprised us all by revealing an all-electric concept car at CES 2020. Since then, it's gone from a tech demonstrator to a full-blown pre-production vehicle. If you've been following the progress of the Sony Vision S01 and subsequent Sony Vision S02 concepts, you'll know Sony now wants to produce both with help from Honda. And this week, the two companies, who have created a new vehicle company called Sony Honda Mobility Inc., confirmed that the first electric vehicles to be made by them will be launched in the US and Japan in 2025, with the first deliveries due to take place in early 2026. Sony Honda Mobility also says its vehicles will be made at a factory in the US for the North American market, presumably because that will help customers qualify for the full US federal tax rebate for EVs. That said, expect the first model to be quite pricey. Volkswagen has initiated a recall in Europe of European market ID3 and ID4 electric cars after a potential battery manufacturing defect that it says could cause increased self-discharge. Some 10,000 ID models are affected, but the issue doesn't affect any US-made Volkswagen ID4 models because they don't use the same battery supplier. The issue was first discovered by European rental company Nextmove, which noticed a higher self-discharge rate in affected vehicles. The fault is caused by a manufacturing defect identified at the production facility where cells are made, which is operated by, you've guessed it, LG Energy Solutions. Faults with LG Energy Solutions made cells keep cropping up across the industry, and you've got to wonder how long it's going to be before the company gets raked over the metaphorical coals for its poor QC. When it comes to EV design, most people understand that the more aerodynamic the vehicle, the more efficient it can be with the energy stored in its battery pack. But it's not just its ability to cut through the air that helps with energy efficiency. Low rolling resistance tyres, overall weight, super low friction bearings, and even motor design can play a huge part too. And the more efficient each of those things can be, the further the car can coast before stopping. This week, European startup Lightyear, which was founded by alumni of Solar Team Eindhoven, showed just how efficient the upcoming Lightyear Zero solar electric car is by seeing how far it could travel without applying any regenerative braking on accelerator liftoff, while travelling at 100 kilometers per hour, that is, which is about 62 miles per hour. The distance travelled? 3.6 kilometers to standstill, or 2.2 miles. No downhill straights needed. From one impressive feat to another now, with the news that Israeli battery firm StoreDot has just confirmed it successfully completed a new round of ultra-fast charging tests. The company has already demonstrated its ultra-fast charging cells in a laboratory situation, using single cells to demonstrate an incredibly quick recharge to 80% from 10% in less than 10 minutes. Now it's progressed to placing production-ready 30 amp-hour pouch cells that it's already shipped to automakers for validation in its latest round of testing. And this has seen StoreDot test those cells in battery pack configurations over 1,000 extremely fast charging cycles. Its test results show how the first 600 ultra-fast charging cycles resulted in no meaningful cell degradation. After just 1,000 ultra-fast cycles, though, battery capacity had dropped to about 80% of its original value. Tesla's in-vehicle software was put under the microscope this week after a tweet made back in September seemed to suggest Tesla was gaining crash test ratings. The original tweet, made back in September by well-known and white-hat security expert and Tesla software reverse engineering guru Green the Only, stated that Tesla's code base listed the names of Australian, Asian and European testing grounds in it, causing some people to allege Tesla's vehicles were being coded to behave differently when at a testing facility. It caused Euro NCAP to launch an investigation, and the agency asked Tesla directly if it was geofencing its vehicles to behave differently under testing, something Tesla denied. While Euro NCAP's investigation is ongoing at this time, it has stated that it believes there's no evidence yet that Tesla's software is interfering with official tests. So we'll keep you updated on this story. General Motors has officially launched a new subsidiary called GM Energy. It's a company dedicated to offering energy solutions for both private and commercial EV customers. Announced at the start of the week, GM Energy will combine Ultium Home, Ultium Commercial and Ultium Charge 360 and, much like other charging solutions offered by rival companies, will skin public charging station access, home charging stations and fleet charging under a GM-specific branding. In addition to trying to make it easier for customers to charge their vehicles and manage their energy use, GM Energy has partnered with SunPower to offer a very similar service to Silverado EV owners to the one offered by Sunrun and Ford's F-150 Lightning, full home power backup, as well as solar panels and static energy storage solutions. In our video covering this news during the week, we misidentified SunPower and said Sunrun in reference to GM Energy, and I am sorry for that error. Euro NCAP has released its latest round of test results for European market vehicles this week, and among them, 2 5-star ratings for 2 brand new EVs to come to the market. First up, the Mercedes-Benz EQE, which scored a full 5-star rating and managed to achieve 95%, 91%, 83% and 81% for adult occupant, child occupant, vulnerable road users and safety assist respectively. Also rated was BYD's first European market electric car, the BYD Atto3, scoring 91%, 89%, 69% and 74% respectively on adult occupant, child occupant, vulnerable road user and safety assist. The compact crossover has managed to prove, yet again, that Chinese-made electric vehicles have what it takes to go head-to-head with far more expensive models from established Western market brands. When making the transition from internal combustion to electric, there are plenty of different areas for automakers to focus on, ranging from cost and practicality through to tech and performance. Ford, already well along in its own journey from fossil fuel to electric, has so far chosen to focus on tech, practicality and performance, eschewing cost, for the most part, in preference to getting customers excited about the instant torque that EVs can offer. And that roadmap was reiterated this week when Cars Guide in Australia published an interview with Ford's VP of Electric Vehicle Programs, Darren Palmer, who reiterated that Ford's focus isn't efficiency or environmentalism, but instead making cars that are just so great people will want to drive them, regardless of the fuel type. Palmer added that because the US is less interested in sustainability as a whole, making cars that are irresistible is Ford's endgame, and so far, it seems to be working. Short shorts are on their way, but first, a word from this video's sponsor, you. I know, it's a bit cliched, but Transport Evolved wouldn't exist without the support of our amazing Patreon supporters and YouTube channel members, and if you are not already one, I would love if you'd consider becoming one. Making the amount of content we do takes a lot of time and a lot of resources, and with the team we have today, our payroll obligations are pretty big, just over 9 and a bit grand every month. And no, that doesn't include me because I only pay myself when there's available funds. Adding costs associated with travelling to events or filming on location, health insurance for everyone else, and what you see on screen is just the tip of the iceberg. This summer, we were able to reach our payroll commitments for the very first time using just Patreon support. But during the last few months, we've seen an increase in expired payment cards on Patreon, and there's now more than 260 people who were Patreon supporters whose cards have now expired, resulting in more than $1,300 of lost support every month. So if you are a Patreon supporter, first, thank you, and second, please check your card, because if it's expired, you may no longer be actively supporting us financially on the platform. Finally, I know it's becoming increasingly difficult for people to make ends meet, so I want to thank those of you who have been supporting us thus far, and also sending good wishes to those who have had to recently stop their support due to financial constraints. Know that I and the rest of the team are eternally grateful for your support, and we hope that things get better. And as we say every show, even if you can't support us financially, please know sharing and interacting really makes a massive difference to how well our channel performs. And now, it's time for Short Shorts. A new project in the UK from the UK Atomic Energy Authority has been given the go-ahead to demonstrate net electricity from nuclear fusion. The spherical tokamak design is far safer and much cleaner than old nuclear power stations of old, and could be online by 2040. Canoo has continued to fill its order books, with fleet vehicle company Zeeba confirming a 5,500 vehicle order of its lifestyle delivery vehicle and lifestyle vehicle variants. 3,000 of those orders are part of an initial legally binding agreement. Services and energy solutions company EQTRANS has completed installation of what it says is one of the UK's largest EV charging station installations to date at the Edinburgh offices of UK bank NatWest. 264 7.4 kilowatt charging stations were installed. Mercedes-Benz is hyping up its upcoming EQE SUV ahead of the vehicle's official reveal on the opening day of the Paris Motor Show. The reveal, due to take place at 8 p.m. Central European Standard Time on October 16th, might be well worth a watch. William Li, the CEO of Chinese automaker NIO, has dropped some pretty large hints that the company is considering delaying the launch of its electric vehicles in the US due to the recently passed Inflation Reduction Act, which only provides tax credits to domestically made EVs. The UK government has decided to try and reduce the cost of energy in the country, caused by Brexit and the invasion of Ukraine, by levying a windfall tax on low-carbon energy producers rather than fossil fuel generators. Ministers say it's not a windfall tax, but most experts seem to disagree. Honda and its chosen battery partner, LG Energy Solutions, has confirmed this week that a new jointly operated battery production facility capable of 40 gigawatt-hours of battery production will be built in Ohio, with initial cell production due to begin there by 2025. Tesla has become the first automaker in the world to implement emergency safety solutions HELP. That's Hazard Enhanced Location Protocol in its vehicles. What is HELP? Well, it's a way of blinking the hazard warning lights of stranded and stopped vehicles faster to reduce rear-end collisions. Lucid Motors has officially published its production estimates for the third quarter, showing that it's improved its EV production figures dramatically over past quarters. In the third quarter, it made 2,282 EVs, that's 3 times Q2's figure. Toyota executives continue to wail on EVs, with one Toyota exec from Australia telling journalists this week that 3 hybrids sold are quote, unquote, almost equal to one electric car when you examine total carbon emission reductions. Why not just make EVs instead, Toyota? When President Biden signed the Infrastructure Act and the Inflation Reduction Act, there was a significant criticism about how it would impact the EV community and penalise non-US companies. But this week, we learned that more than $40 billion has now been invested in new US-based battery factories to build EVs domestically. A US jury in the state of New York has found Trevor Milton, former CEO and founder of Nikola Motors, to be guilty of 1 count of securities fraud and 2 counts of wire fraud. He has yet to be sentenced at the time of filming the show, but we will share more info when we have it. A recall program for nearly every single Rivian vehicle made to date to address an issue with a loose front suspension component is being handled quickly and professionally, according to customers. Some owners report that the fix is being carried out in a matter of minutes. Our Next Energy, ONE for short, has announced a brand new battery cell manufacturing plant in Michigan, which it will use to produce LFP cells. The facility, called One Circle, will be home to both cell and pack level production and make 20 gigawatt hours of cells per year. UK plug-in sales figures for the month of September show the traditional bump caused by the annual new plate change. It's complicated if you're not from the UK, but it set some pretty impressive records, with 50,397 plug-ins registered. Following on from similar protests from Korea, European politicians are complaining that the new EV federal tax incentive rules implemented by the US as part of the Inflation Reduction Act are unfair and unbalanced. They're playing the "friends don't do this to friends" card. General Motors has signed a new contract with Queensland Pacific Metals in Australia that would be worth about $69 million. The contract will see Queensland Pacific Metals supply GM with nickel and cobalt, with the exact duration of the contract not yet shared. Renault has unveiled its own mobility solutions platform called Mobilize. Designed specifically for ride-hailing professionals, it offers drivers a way for taxi and limousine operators to easily fuel and lease their vehicles, and has given them a special limo for the job as well. A new project in Oakland, California is going to use the massive battery packs found in electric transit buses, paired with 2-way charging stations, to allow those buses to become emergency backup power stations for community centres during natural disasters and brownouts. Charging network Blink, which has been the butt of jokes due to its On the Blink network, has announced a brand new redesign of said network. Charging stations, web apps and mobile applications have all been redesigned, and Blink says it's going to be a, quote, market leader. Sales figures from the US in August show that while Tesla is still dominating the new EV marketplace, other car companies and models are starting to gain market share. This means Tesla's overall market share is slightly decreasing. But frankly, that's a good thing because it means more consumer choice in the marketplace. I loved my Renault Twizy, and it's a car I miss most days. But next week, Renault will officially replace the Twizy with its successor, the Mobilize Duo. It's designed for similar applications, but has more recyclability and comes with doors as standard. There's an idea. The Sono Sion has officially begun its US tour, with the German-built solar electric car visiting New York, Boston, Detroit, San Francisco, San Jose and finally Los Angeles. The tour dates are on the company's website, so if you want to get a look, check them out. In a press conference this week to discuss a massive investment in US road infrastructure, Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg told myself and Kate Walton-Elliott that the government was committed to building out equitable, reliable charging infrastructure, but only time will tell if that actually happens. Porsche has officially increased the range of its Taycan and Taycan Cross Turismo models by 14% for the 2023 model year. The range increase is thanks to new software tweaks, which the automaker will be pushing via over-the-air to all Taycans made. Following significant feedback, both from existing and potential customers, Lucid has announced it will be rolling out a brand new user interface for its Lucid Air sedan. The company says there are, quote, hundreds of updates and new features, end quote, in this new UX 2.0 update. GM's military division, GM Defense, has confirmed this week that it's going to supply the US government's Defense Innovation Unit with its Ultium battery packs and drivetrains to enable it to evaluate and eventually design electric military vehicles for use by the US military. Amazon has officially committed to investing €1 billion in electrifying its delivery fleet in Europe, as Amazon tries to make its future fleet 100% carbon neutral. Tesla's Shanghai Gigafactory has reached a brand new record during September, with newly released figures from the China Passenger Car Association showing Tesla's Chinese factory churned out, wait for it, 83,135 cars. That is an incredible feat. NIO is already enjoying its initial foray into the European market with its high-end premium electric cars, but this week we learned that the company's next step in Europe is to introduce smaller, more mainstream vehicles that will be much more affordable and sold under a sub-brand. And those are your short shorts. There will be more next week. Usually, at this point in the show, I show you a little something the team's been working on, and I cannot say enough good things about this little teaser from the lovely Michael and the rest of the team. It's the Genesis GV60. Our official first walk drops this week. The race to see which company will bring an all-electric vertical takeoff and landing aircraft to market is intense, with established brands and startups all vying to be first. And this week, one of those contenders, XPeng, celebrated the first global public flight of its self-proclaimed electric flying car, the XPeng X2. Taking to the skies at a special event in Skydive in Dubai, the aircraft required a special flying permit in order to take to the skies, much as other eVTOL craft have in the past. But nevertheless, the flight was a success. XPeng hopes the X2 will offer two-seat flying experiences in the world's megacities, with sightseeing tourists and medical transports to possible applications. Unlike the rendering they originally shared, one of the concepts had fully functioning wheels, this particular variant ditched wheels for more traditional aircraft skids. And finally, the internet is a weird place, and as content creator on a platform like YouTube, there is an incredible amount of pressure to make content that's different, engaging, and fun. Believe me. And that's led many creators down the path of making content that is questionable, either because it's dangerous or infantile, or because its lowest common denominator is designed to get eyeballs at all costs. And while we do our best at this channel to not embrace the clickbait, some channels do, adding drama or doing questionable things just for the clicks. And this week, a new video surfaced that we think is just that, courtesy of Warped Perception's YouTube channel. It's done some unusual things to Teslas over the years, but this week, channel host Matt Mika added a small onboard generator to his Tesla Model S in order to avoid charging on a road trip. Granted, it's interesting engineering, it's just also antithetical to the idea of an EV. And on that note, we are done for the day. Before I go, a huge thank you to the Electric Vehicle Association for sponsoring today's show. They've been advocating for electric vehicles since 1967. And they firmly believe that our future depends on us making the switch to clean, green electric cars today. The EVA can help you find someone near to you that can help you make the switch to electric. It can help you become an EV educator, and it can point you in the direction of monthly meetups for like-minded EV fans. And if you become a member, you'll gain access to a new clean energy and EV loan program set up between the EVA and the Colorado Clean Energy Credit Union. So find out more by heading to electricauto.org. Thanks also go to those of you who have, currently are, or are considering supporting our channel through a Patreon membership or a YouTube membership. It's easy to do, so follow the links below. And finally, thanks to Energy Sage. Follow the links below to find out how easy it can be to get verified, trustworthy solar experts helping you make the step towards energy self-sufficiency, either with solar on the roof of your home or through a local community solar project. Don't forget to hit subscribe and the bell for this channel and our second channel, Transport Evolved Take 2. And in addition to becoming a Patreon supporter or a YouTube member, you can tip us through Ko-fi, or you can check out our cool swag store. And if you did like what you saw today, please consider adding a super thanks to your comment. It's super easy to do, and it does all help our channel grow. I'll be back this time next week for another news roundup, but as always, there's plenty of content for you to enjoy during the week. I've watched it all and it's amazing. And if you like things off the beaten track, why not hop over to Transport Evolved Take 2 for our Sunday musing tomorrow, as well as checking up on the chickens and the garden. In tomorrow's chicken and garden update, we'll be talking about winter prep, and in the Sunday musing, we're going to be talking about cars making too many beeps and boops when you're in the cockpit. Whatever you enjoy next, though, I hope your weekend is a great one, and as always, on behalf of the entire team, keep evolving.